1 second, guys. I'm just getting set up. I'm trying this out for the first time. I probably should have done all this first. Hello, hello, test. Hello, hello, test. Okay, cool. It's working. Okay, so I probably shouldn't be even showing you guys what I'm actually working on. Because obviously this book isn't out yet. But this page doesn't reveal anything. This is for Secret Warriors. And I haven't uploaded anything in a while, and I've never done a YouTube live, and I was a bit bored at work, so I figured let's do this. So, sorry for the long intro, but let's just get to it. So, in the chat, if you want to ask me any questions, feel free to do so, because otherwise I'll just be over here inking away. And let me know if you can hear me clearly and everything like that as well. And get ready to be annoyed by me undoing a lot, because that's just the style that I work at. So this is Karnak, who is obviously an inhuman, except I always thought his name sounded like a Pokemon. So me and my brother jokingly say, Karnak, whenever we talk about him. Karnak, Karnak. Kind of like a Charmander. Karnak. So I'm just cleaning up some of these dirty lines. If you hear rustling and chewing, that's my puppy chewing on my desk at work. So these little dots I'm adding here, this is just to show that this is going into grey. And I like to, sometimes I do it differently, sometimes I just do dots at about a 7, but sometimes I use this lasso fill tool, like this, and I make shark teeth, and then that gets filled up like that. I don't like that though, it looks bad. I don't have any rhyme and reason because I'm not a, I'm not very good. Like, I'm not smart when it comes to art. I just put it in the places I think it looks cool because I'm young and stupid and I don't know what I'm doing yet. Have I always inked digitally? There's a lot of stuff, even on my channel, that you can see me ink traditionally. It depends. I kind of do a mixed media when it comes to covers and things I think I could potentially sell. But mostly I ink digitally because it's so much quicker for me to work this way. And I just prefer it anyway. I just kind of taught myself how to ink and draw on the computer, so it's kind of just like my first love, I guess, when it comes to inking. And what I'm just most comfortable with. This is a phone, even though it looks like a Hot Pocket. Or not a Hot Pocket, a, what do they call, Pop-Tart? I'm going to go add a... This is another Inhuman. Gonna add some highlight into his hair. Can't stay for long, but want to say that I'm a big fan. I hope you upload more stuff. Thank you. I'm trying to. I kind of been overbooking myself on different titles. I'm actually on 3 books right now, but I figured I can get away with some of these live streams of pages that don't really give anything away to stories and stuff. And I don't think. Well, hopefully, I won't get in trouble for it. This is the whole page, so you can just see it here. I've got some Italian police officers here. I got this one little panel here. I love doing these little little people panels. It's good fun. Okay, so I think this panel is pretty much done. I'm not adding a background in this panel because it's going to be full of speech bubbles, and sometimes, you know, if it's full of speech bubbles, there's no point of adding a background because you wouldn't see it anyway. I'm using a Frendon hairpin sable brush here, which I like to use. It's got a nice thin to thick. I don't see anything. Oh, there it is. Just trying to look where it says how many people are watching. How's the quality, guys? Is it good? Just gotta check my emails. I know I got a phone call with Marvel today at some point. Whose pencils? They're my pencils. I pencil and ink all my own stuff. If I show you the pencils, they're very rough. I work pretty loose because I know all the hard work gets done in the inks. So again, anybody feel free to ask me any questions. I'm happy to answer anything. Which panel do I want? Let's tackle this big panel. So now I'm going to do the wireframes. This is a Freddie Williams sort of method to working. Do I get paid for pencils and inks? Yep, I do. I get paid for doing both jobs because I'm working twice as hard. I've had some people ink my pencils before, but I've never been super happy with that. I prefer, like, it's fine, but I just think I can do a better job because I'm not really, as you can see, I'm not a tight penciler. If I've tried to do tight pencils before, but it takes just as long for me to do loose pencils and full inks as it does doing tight pencils, because I got into the business as a penciler inker because the demand in independent comics was not just for a penciler, it was for an inker as well. So I kind of put two and two together. That's why that Freddie Williams book, DC Comics Guide to Digitally Drawing Comics, really helped. Because it's all about speed. This is why I work on the computer. But again, I do some stuff by hand, but it does take longer. As you can see, I'm just changing shapes and things on the fly. It's easier when you get used to these characters as well. No big action stuff in this today. Someone's asked, at a con they told me to specialise either pencil, ink or colour, not all. That was 10 years ago. I think it's changed very much since 10 years ago. There's people like, what's his name? Mike Del Mundo, who pencils, colours and inks his own stuff, and he's just incredible. He's just a one-man machine. I wish I could colour my own stuff, but I'd rather see someone that's an expert at doing that. Luna, would you stop chewing on my seat? You're making loads of noise. Sorry, that's my French Bulldog puppy. She's very needy. So Karnak has these weird shapes on his head. Karnak! I want everyone to start saying that now. Karnak! Okay, I think his neck's a bit too long there. I hope I'm not making anybody sick with all my flipping and flopping of a page. I do. I know that when I speed up my videos, the whole page just flies around. I was thinking of doing a Twitch stream, but I don't have any subscribers there. And all of my stuff is on YouTube, and I just generally like using YouTube. So I think I'm going to stick to putting stuff here. So I'm just trying to create interesting folds with this sweatshirt here. I hate drawing hoods on sweatshirts, I really do. It's one of my least favourite things to draw. And my brain just can't process it properly. It just looks weird. I mean, the colorist makes it look more like a hood, but... So Alpha Protos said, working digitally helps a lot. Instead of making sure pencils are tight enough for an inker to understand, you can just go to inks. Exactly. But then you see some people, like I just received some Art Adams artwork, some prelim stuff, because I'm starting a new project soon with Marvel, and it was pretty cool to get some Art Adams art to use as reference, but his stuff was just, it was just like the roughs, like the layouts for 4 different covers. And goddamn, was that stuff tight. It was so cool looking. And I could go straight to inks from his roughs, which is crazy. So a lot of the way I draw clothes in these folds, I kind of, it's a combination of McFarlane and Capullo, but except they do real like hard ones like that. But I don't know, I just feel like I have a soft round style, so I instead of going like this for the folds, I like to sort of make bendy bits. And it's not like there's no rhyme and reason to this, it's all pulling points, like where his armpit is, that's a pulling point, so I'm pointing stuff to the fold in his sweatshirt where the armpit is. And there's a pull here. Okay, so that's Karnak. Karnak! That's him done. So I have a bunch of comic actions over here. And these comic actions I've created myself. And I have a bunch of useful stuff that I use to help me out. For instance, like I just selected outside of Karnak, and then I've got this thing called size 7 outline, In fact, so I'm going to use a 9 since he's in the foreground. And I just click this button, and it makes a white layer and a black layer. You can see the black layer is right there, with a thickness of 9 around it, and then what I do is I drag it under that, and then suddenly, boom, he's got an outline on him. And then I take this little extra thing, and I just get my curve tool, or I use a marker, and then I just thicken up the places that I think need thickening to make it pop. And then, as you saw when I started this video, that's the final inks where I add all the line weights. It's a weird process, I know, but it's the only process that works personally for me. I can't just hop in and ink line weights, because my brain can't do form and line weights at the same time. And I do this traditionally at cons as well. I'll pencil, and then I'll use like a 0.3 marker and just do all the basic line work. Then I'll add all the outlines like this, and then I'll do final inks at the end. So this panel needs to go here. There we go. So that's Karnak. So Alpha Proto says, I render about as much as you do. I looked up to guys who used a lot of hatching lines growing up in the 90s. I just never knew how much hatching was too much. Things just got lost in lines. Yeah, if you look at any of my old stuff, I'm just going like this over everything, which makes no bloody sense. But as time went on, I realized that my hatching was not helping my art. It was ruining it, because I just didn't understand form well enough, and I'm still not very used to form. So now my hatching, I add dots and these little lines here, and you know, my shark teeth, and it's all very subtle. Like when you zoom out, you don't notice it. And when the thing is like when a colorist hops in to color something anyway, you're not going to notice a lot of the stuff because it gets all covered up. So what's the point of adding all that extra detail when the main art is, you know, the pencils, colors, and inks? I love drawing this mullet style hair. I can't remember this character's name right now, which is terrible since I'm drawing this book. He's Black Bolt's son, I know that much. If anybody in the chat knows who that is. I would play music over this, but anytime I do that, it deletes the audio because it's not royalty free. So you just have to listen to the silence of my little office. So Alpha Proto asks, I'm new to the Inhumans. All I know is what I've seen in the 90s Fantastic Four cartoon and the new TV series. To be honest, I'm new to the Inhumans as well. I never really paid any attention to them, but I've been working on them. I did some work on the series called Royals, where I did flashbacks to the origins of Black Bolt and Karnak. Karnak! And now I'm doing this Secret War stuff that has a lot to do with the Inhumans. So it seems like Marvel's pushing Inhumans, which is fine. They're interesting characters, especially Black Bolt. He's really interesting. And I like Karnak as well. I'm not too keen, to be honest, on this new look of Karnak, where he's bald and has these symbols on his face. I much prefer the old, menacing Karnak, which I got to draw in Royals, because I kind of channeled a bit of my inner Joker with him, with his look. But the marks on his face I believe they keep his powers at bay, or something like that. So I had to draw him like a robot, basically. He's pretty emotionless. You voiced Gorgon in the Avengers Academy mobile game? That's pretty awesome. Do you do more voices? That's Alpha Proto saying that. And for anybody watching this after the stream is down, I'm sorry, I'm not going to really announce when I'll be streaming. I'm pretty sure YouTube sends a notification when somebody's going live, because that's what happens with me when I watch other people's live streams. So hopefully, for the people that want to watch, they'll get a little notification on their phone or on their computers. That's the hope anyway. That's the dream. Oh, nice. AL Pincus says that, I hope I said your name right as well, that they got a notification that I went live. Cool. Yeah, I would like to do more of these. I'm going to try and just choose the pages that don't give anything away. Because that's when Marvel... I know Marvel lets you post stuff as long as it doesn't give away, you know, something major in the plot. I also like doing these live streams because it just keeps me working constantly as well. Otherwise I might get distracted and want to play NBA 2K18 on my Switch. For all you Switch fans out there. Okay, good. I'm glad I said your name right. People can't say my name right. They always say Will Robinson or Robson. Ugh, hate that. Robson. There's no bloody E in my name. I always get Robinson as well. I watched someone review some Spider-Man Deadpool work I did, and they said, oh, drawn by Will Robinson. And I'm like, oh, God. This drives me mad. I got Robso before, and then just a lot of people just call me Rob as well. Just because I use Robson Inc. as my username. Alpha Proto said, I voice Chulane in the game called Smite. I don't know that one. That's cool. I think voice work, that's a real interesting job. I think that's a job I would definitely enjoy. I can do a lot of voices. If they ask you to do Karnak in the game, and you do an audition, I expect you, the first thing you do is to go, Karnak! 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 Karnak. Karnak, neck, neck. Sorry, I'm a bit crazy. That's what happens when you draw in a room all day alone with just a puppy. Rotem, how's it going? I hope I said that name, unless it's Rotem. Alpha Proto says, I want to draw comics though, seems more stable. Well, I guess, I mean, if you're working professionally, it can be stable. I still don't know when my next job's coming, but luckily since I've started working at Marvel, it's been pretty constant with work, which I'm very grateful for. And grateful to you guys for picking up my work and supporting me. I'm also doing a project over at Image right now with one of the founders, which is really exciting, because I know you all asked that. But I wouldn't say it's stable. I know a lot of people that are in the same position as me that don't get constant work. And also, it's a tough gig. Like, you got to dedicate most of your days to sitting at the board drawing. But luckily, you get good enough to a point where you start enjoying it. There are certainly days and pages that I do that I'm like, ugh, that was gross. I just want to get this over with, drink a beer, watch some football or something like that. But like, for instance, like this, like I spent a lot of time detailing pencils and all the tiny details in this panel, where usually I would just like scribble it out. Like, you can even see all the way back here. That guy looks like a zombie, but don't worry about that. But yeah, you gotta have fun. That's one big thing that I took to heart from Todd Knock. He says all the time on his YouTube, like, make sure that you're having fun doing it, because the stress of a deadline can be very demotivating, and it might make you pump out really crappy pages. But if you try and have fun while doing it, really like put the effort in. Like, I've started, like, I never before used to erase panels that I've drawn completely, but I've started doing that now, because I find I will actually not work on that panel that I've drawn that's terrible. I'll leave it to the last minute, or I'll really have to force myself to do it. I might move on to something else, and it just sits there just because I'm like, ugh, I don't like that panel and I don't want to work on it. So now I just erase it and start again, because for me, penciling doesn't take that long. Like, I pencil a page in maybe 2 or 2.5 hours. So to spend an extra 15 to 30 minutes repaneling, you know, it's not that bad. I'd rather do that than have to sit there and try and ink a terrible penciled panel. A terrible penciled panel. So Alpha Proto says, I'm trying to make my way into comics by working on a collaboration with my friend who is a writer. I had to do all the art. The pencils and inks went okay. Colors took a long time. Really, that's interesting. Colors are supposed to be the quickest part of the job. Professional colorists get about 3 pages done a day. Inkers get about 2, where pencils get about 1. Did you do the colors as well? Okay, showing this off. So what I've done is I've made a lot of custom brushes. So here's a fun fact. Every comic you read of mine, everybody's got the same pupil, right? And it helps. Like, I drew a pupil once, so all I have to go is boop, and I've got a pupil done. And I've got a lot of different stuff in here that you might see pop up in many of my comics that I do. This is from Great Lakes Avengers, this anime head that I had to use a lot. This dino pattern here. This was on the pajamas of Flatman. And these music notes here were floating around in issue 2 of Great Lakes Avengers. Let me just save, because sometimes these things lag out. I have loads of stuff here. Like, I have bananas, which I use for a Deadpool cover for Deadpool Mercs for Money, where Deadpool's standing holding bananas around a bunch of banana crates. So I created a pen of a bunch of bananas that I drew, and then I could just do all that, and I got tons of bananas. Palm trees, the Fantastic Four logo, which I've used, coffee cups, bullets, the Spider-Man logo. Now that logo I used for every single Spider-Man in my run on Spider-Man and Deadpool. I've got some M&Ms here, and some other, just a bunch of random stuff, forks, spoons, all the stuff that just really cuts down on sitting at the board. I also am building a library of different heads and hands where I can just change expressions. There's tons of stuff that you can do to really speed up the process. And a lot of people will say, oh, you're not a real artist, all this crap. But it's like, no, it's like sorry, I got tongue twisted there. I could sit down and draw anything I want. No big deal. This just helps speed up the process. It's like, should I spend an hour and 45 minutes drawing a sports car, or should I just get a 3D model of it? Like, it's not like I can't do it. I don't know. It's a big debate in the world of comics. I'm all for digital. You know, comics have to come out every month. The deadline pressure that these industries put on us are ridiculous. You know, you expect a comic every month. That's 20 pages of work for a penciler inker. You know, I have to get 20 pages done a month. That's a lot of work. And anyway, I don't want to ramble and stuff like that. I would assume anybody watching this is pro digital anyway because of my channel. Sorry, I missed some stuff in the chat. So let's see. Alpha Proto said, we are hiring an established leader to help us promote the comic. That's awesome. Jan Pitts Castello, I hope I said your name right. Hi Will, would you rank drawing Deadpool and Spidey on your best things that happened to you list? I definitely would. When I got the news that I was going to be doing that, I put on some of my favourite Michael Jackson songs and I danced around my house. And I thoroughly enjoyed doing that project. But I've got plenty of really awesome stuff down the pipeline as well. And then Alpha Proto says, that seems very useful, I need that shortcut. And Alpha Proto also said, if it serves the story, go for it. Darn tootin'. Okay, so he is done for his thing. So I'm going to do my handy dandy. Oh, that's a pupil. Selecting. It's 1:41 in the afternoon here in the UK. Me and my pup are just chilling. How you doing, baboons? If any of you have seen my Twitter, then you've seen pictures of her. She's so derpy. Magic! So A.L. Pincus is asking a question. How much of a time saver is digital? How much time on average to create a page, traditionally versus digitally? Well, I think it all depends on the person as well. For me, I can get a page done in a day. And that's working very, very hard. And that's pencils and inks. If I was penciling and inking a page, traditionally, I think pencils digitally for me take about anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. And then the inking takes anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. So, you know, 8 to 10 hours per page digitally, I would say. So if I start in the morning and I finish at night, then I've got my work done. Where traditionally, I would say it would probably take me about 4 to 5 hours to pencil traditionally. And it would probably take me another 8 hours or 7 hours on top of that to ink, just because I'm not as comfortable with it. So that's why it all comes down to the person. It's like, you know, some established pros that have been penciling and inking traditionally their whole career, they don't move towards digital because it's like, why would I learn something new that's like going to be a learning curve when I can ink quicker right now, which is, you know, completely fair. But for someone like me, who I learned how to draw on the computer all those years ago, it's what I feel comfortable with. I've completely ruined my eyes though. Like I have big Coke bottle glasses now. Just do your thing. Create some art. Do your thing. Don't matter how. I love this curve tool to get a perfect line to thicken it up with. It's great. This is basically like using a French curve traditionally. French curve is a ruler that bends in all different directions, so you can get the perfect bent line. You're welcome. Any more questions? Feel free to ask them. I'm here to answer. If you heard that, that was my dog snorting like a pig. So IL is asking, does it snap the thick line to thin lines? No, you have to do it by hand. Like, it's all just, it doesn't find it itself, no. Alpha's saying, you miss out on selling your page pencils working digital. It's glorious, man. I do sell a lot of my artwork because I don't do everything digitally. There is stuff that I do traditionally, but I will tell you, I've never sold a single piece of my artwork yet. I haven't found the right market for it, and I spend more time being like, oh, I'll do this cover traditionally because I could sell it, which is dumb because you just have to wait for someone to buy it, when I could go, or I can do it digitally, which means I could probably get 2 covers done in the amount of time it took me to do one, so I earn more money in the end. So it's different. I know some stuff works for some people, some stuff doesn't work for other people. The strokes of life. How much did you struggle to find your own style? Going into it, I definitely... So what happened with me was, I've loved comics since I was a kid, and I always loved McFarlane's Spider-Man, and that's the way I wanted to draw. And for ages, I was doing my own comic, Dino Zombies, in 2009 to 2012. And in that time it was heavily inspired by McFarlane's artwork. But I was a terrible artist then. Like, literally I had this giant book of his run on Spider-Man, and I would just look at it, find a panel that I liked, and I would just basically use it as reference to do my own stuff with it. And then one day I lived in this town where I went to university, and there was a comic shop, and I would go into it, and I wanted to get back into reading monthlies because I hadn't done that in a while because I didn't have any local shop to do it with. And this was in 2010, and I walked in and I saw an issue of Batman, and I was like, that looks like Todd McFarlane artwork. And I opened it, and it was Greg Capullo, who at the time I didn't realise was obviously one of the main artists on Spawn, and I fell down a massive rabbit hole of falling in love with Greg Capullo's art style and all of his work. Like, I'm a huge... Like, honestly, if you look at any of the stuff that he did on Spawn from like issue 60 to 100, you'll go, oh wow, I can definitely see where Will got his art style from, because that's a big influence of mine. And then as like, I used to be like basically like a Capullo copycat. Like, I really tried to look like his work, but I didn't want to fall into that category of being a copycat, because that just means like I'm only going to be second best to what, you know, that man can produce, and I didn't want to do that. And as time went on, I discovered other artists that were heavily inspired my style. Like, I rediscovered John Romita Jr., who I absolutely loved as a kid, and I started incorporating that into my work, and still like some McFarlane stuff. And then I discovered J. Scott Campbell, who heavily influenced my style for a while. And then just loads of other people. John Byrne, that was a big one for me when I sort of fell down that rabbit hole. And then I found Todd Knock, and I took a lot of the way he was doing stuff. And I sort of, once I got rid of doing all my crazy render lines, I kind of figured I had a style, and Bob's your uncle, as they say. That was it. So Alpha says, bummer that you haven't sold any pages. Deadpool and Spider is so popular, to own a piece would be rad. Yeah, I mean, I sell all of them online on my website, robsoninc.com. I think my prices are way too high, but I'd rather wait just in case I became a super famous artist and I could sell pages. Like, have you guys seen how much Capullo's pages are? Even his old stuff, like Quasar, they're like 15 grand a page. It's nuts. And I want to keep most of the stuff I do anyway. And then, yep, I see the McFarlane influence. Yep, thanks. Yeah, there's definitely McFarlane in there. Right, let's click save. Let me just check my emails. Nope, not yet. No important emails, bunch of junk. What a bunch of junk. Alright, so let's do this laptop. I watched a video today, someone on YouTube, reviewing my first issue of Spider-Man and Deadpool. It's about a 20-minute long video. And it was ridiculous. Like, the guy was like, I've watched so many videos about how to draw comics, so I know what I'm talking about. So this page right here, this is all just a 3D model. He just copied and pasted this. And I was like sitting there like, nope, I actually drew that by hand. Thanks for thinking that's a 3D model. I guess I'll take that as a compliment. And he was very critical about my head sizes. It was ridiculous. And he got a bit racist at the end as well, which got awkward. Look at that lovely laptop. What a laptop. You know, they call me the king of drawing laptops. I'm just amazing at drawing laptops. I'm the best. I'm the best there is at what I do. What I do is drawing laptops. How's it going, Richard? So Jan asks, yeah, I've followed you for a few years now, and probably one of the first times I researched Tom McFarlane was when you mentioned him in one of your YouTube videos. Oh yeah? Well, what do you think? I mean, I think it's more like, if you don't like it, I totally understand. I think it's because I grew up on it. Like, I still have somewhere my Tom McFarlane Spider-Man bed sheets that I had. And the pillowcases would be just the inks of panels from his work. Like, it would be like a page of him, of Spidey fighting the lizard. So when I was sat down and really like focused on how to get better at art, one of the things I studied was like my pillowcase, because I didn't have the book at the time. Because it was rare to just see the inks, which was cool. Let's see, Richard said, don't listen to the haters, you're the one working at Marvel and they pay for your work. That's damn right, Richard. Alpha says, what brand laptop is that? Do you add Easter eggs to your art? I add Easter eggs all the time in my art. If you look on page 1 of Spider-Man Deadpool 19, it is chock full of Easter eggs. In it is the lawyer and her assistant from Great Lakes Avengers. They walk past the window behind Peter Parker in New York, because they live in New York City. In the opening panel, there's Kira from Death Note. And I've just added, there's tons of stuff. I've added loads of characters from Great Lakes Avengers in the backgrounds and stuff. I don't think there's any Easter eggs in this, besides the fact that I'm going to make this copper zombie. Because he's so small on the page you won't notice him. No, there's no Easter eggs in this panel, but yeah, I definitely do. And this laptop is Robson brand laptop. Copyright. So one thing I definitely will be doing is I'm currently in the background of my pro work, I'm working on my own comic, Leave None Alive. So actually I can show you guys a bunch of that stuff. Jan says, Tom McFarlane is great, and when I saw how he draws Spider-Man, it was jaw-dropping. Yeah, I think I went a bit too McFarlane with my Spider-Man. The problem with Marvel is they'll say, do you want to draw Spider-Man? And of course you say yes, but I didn't know at the time what my Spider-Man was going to be, if that makes any sense, so I think I went a bit too McFarlane. But let me show you some goodies, shall we? So let me go to, where's my comics? There's my comics. These are all the projects I've never finished. Leave None Alive. So this is the book I'm working on, which is my comic. And I can show you the first page. I can show you all the art from this. That snoring is my dog, it's not me. One sec as it loads. It's such a big file because the art's so good. Ooh, spooky, what is that? Ah, zoom in! So, this is Leave None Alive. Let me turn the pencils up. This is my comic that I'm going to be pitching to Image, which is about this little girl exorcist that takes on famous sort of folklore. So this is Bloody Mary down here. Bloody Mary has possessed this little girl, and you can see there's way more detail in this art than the other page. That's because I'm taking my sweet time in this. I don't have a deadline, so I can really sit down and knuckle through it. So that's Elizabeth, and that's Bloody Mary. That's a little possessed girl. And then I got these priests up here arguing, and a couple of roughs here of stuff I'm doing. So this is going to be really fun. That's the first page. Then I'm also working on this cover right now. Let me answer the questions while that loads. Robson Brand took over where Peter Tech fell. Definitely did. How's the dog doing? The dog is good. She's sleeping by my feet. Kyle says, hey Will, you've been a big inspiration to me as an aspiring artist. Do you have any tips for working the long hours of a comic artist? The tips would be get into podcasts, watch some sort of sport. Like I watched now a lot of wrestling, WWE, which I never did. I watched as a kid, but I got back into it because it's just great to stick on in the background. Just find ways to entertain yourself while going and to distract you from what you're doing. Okay, so this is the cover I'm doing for Leave None Alive. This is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I'm going to have all of these famous sort of folklore characters jumping all at Elizabeth down here. You might not be able to see it with this. That might make it a bit clearer. Let me turn these up a bit. I'm just doing one character at a time. So we're going to have Frankenstein here, the Headless Horseman here, Jersey Devil, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Nosferatu, the Salem Witches. I love how I know exactly what these are, even though they're scribbles. I think this is a mummy. That's a werewolf. And she's just standing looking badass, facing away. So, yeah, that's the cover for that. Anyway, back to work. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, and coffee, yeah, lots of coffee. I could use a coffee right now. Have you written some of it, or is it just a pitch? The first issue's been written, the whole story, overall story, has been completely laid out, so all I need now is to draw it. Me and my brother have written it together, and I've also have written 3 issues of a different comic I'm doing, which have already been drawn. I just need to get them coloured and lettered, and then I'm sending that off to Image as well. Because I'm also trying to break in as a writer, so that one day I can just write and draw my own comics. Because I think I'm a pretty good writer too. This girl does not look happy. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Does anybody else make the faces of what they're drawing when they draw it? Right now I'm going, oh, He's got some big old prominent cheekbones. This is also why I like to work in this way, because I feel like the stage I'm doing right now is the penciling. Where I can really play with stuff to make it look the way I want. Because the goal for me is to try and not make everything like I feel like I'm drawing the same thing 3 times over. Like you look at Nick Bradshaw's artwork, which is amazing. Art Adams' artwork, which is amazing. But every stage, it's all so tight and so beautiful. And I feel like, oh, I would get sick of drawing that over and over again. But, I mean, to be fair, the end result is amazing. My handy dandy pupil brush. Pitches for comics are not 3 to 4 issues, they're generally 5 to 10 pages of completed artwork. But the thing I'm pitching, not leaving it alive, the other thing I'm doing, which is called actually I'm not going to tell you. That thing, it's a bunch of mini stories, kind of like, you know, the show Black Mirror or something like that. And the first story was 3 issues long, so that's why I got the whole thing done. I also got the whole thing done because I wanted to get it done, because the plan is, if Image doesn't take it, that's fine. I'll take it to IDW or Boom. I'm also going to take the finished product and show it to all my contacts at Marvel, DC and Image and everybody and be like, hey look, I can write something as well. Do you want to read this thing that I wrote? And hopes to get a job as a writer on one of their properties. And if nobody picks up the book to take it to print, then I'll just self-publish it through Kickstarter. And if nobody wants it there, well then you can all go screw yourselves. I worked so hard. I spent so much money. Jan says, when do you think is the best time to break into the comics business? Do you think it's overload right now? I think that it's hard to say. I wouldn't say it's overload right now. They let me in. It's very, you know, you just have to get into the comics, you just have to travel to a convention where editors are doing portfolio reviews and sit down with them and have them look at your stuff, and they might say come back with this, that or the other. Or you might get work if you're lucky, like I did. A lot of people say it's easier today, a lot of people say it's harder today. I think the consensus for me is that it's always been hard to break into comics. But if you've been watching my channel over the years, I dedicated my whole life to breaking in, and it worked out. So I hope that inspires a lot of people to push through all the negative stuff. All the people saying, like, I remember when I sat down and first told my parents, hey, I want to break into Marvel Comics. They were like, what? Because I had just graduated film school, which I did very good at, and I had a job as an editor for TV. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to draw comics for a living. And I convinced them to let me mooch off of them for 2 years. And if it didn't work out by 2 years, then I would have to get a real job. And luckily, it worked out in year 3, but I'd already moved out at that time. I had my 2-year limit and I was gone. Because that's what I heard a lot of people do. Alpha says, Nick Bradshaw's art blew me away. His work on Army of Darkness and Rockin' kicked butt. Nick Bradshaw is one of my favourite artists working today. And I know it sounds like blasphemy. And please don't leave the chat when I say it. But I like him better than Art Adams, personally. Dun dun dun. He's also a super nice guy. I've chatted with him before. He's one of them down-to-earth dudes. Most people in the business are down-to-earth, though. Doomsday says, "Do so. Cool to see you accomplish your goal." Thank you. It feels, you would think it's the finish line, right? Achieving that goal, but it really has just begun, because boy howdy do you have to fight hard to stay in the business. You can get your first gig, but to get the next one, is, I've heard, can be very tough. Luckily, I blind emailed every single editor at Marvel Comics with the headline saying, "Marvel artist looking for work," as I'd already drawn only, what was it, 15 pages of Star-Lord. And luckily, one of the people that responded was Tom Brevoort, who's like the vice president of Marvel Comics, and he hooked me up with Great Lakes Avengers. So the second thing I did for Marvel was my own damn series. So I've been really lucky. Like, I do not take any of this for granted. Like, now that Great Lakes Avengers is over, I've been doing little things like that Spider-Man Deadpool thing, which was fun. A lot of filler and stuff. And now I'm going to be doing 2 issues of a book I can't say for Marvel, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm doing this Secret Warrior stuff right now. I'm filling in for about 4 issues, about 5 pages per issue. And then I'm doing my Secret Image project, which I'm the main artist on, which is really exciting. So it's all go. It's great. Love it. This body looks a bit weird, but it's just going to be tiny in the panel. Sometimes you just gotta get it done, am I right? Am I right, guys? Please tell me I'm right. So Jan says, yeah, my parents are trying to get me to be an architect or some kind of designer. Well, at least you can take all that architect skills and apply it to comics, that's for sure. So I've asked, for your Marvel submissions, did you base your work on a script? So what I did was I went to London Super Comic Con in 2016, so last year. And they were having Marvel portfolio reviews. So what I did was, I was working on about 2 or 3 small press books at the time. So what I brought with me were page samples from those small press books, and I'd also drawn about 5 different covers of Marvel characters, because I knew that they were going to be there, so I wanted to show them how I'd handled drawing their characters. So that was the initial meet with them. So after that meet, they gave me their contact. They said, email me here, and I'll give you a sample script for you to work on, and we'll go from there. So I emailed them, and I got a sample script for Spider-Gwen. And I wanted to show them that I meant business, like I'm not going to dick about. Because a lot of people get these samples from Marvel and they spend like weeks or months or sometimes a year on 5 pages. So what's Marvel going to think? They're going to think, well, can I trust this guy under a deadline? We got to get a book out a month. Like, and this guy took 3 weeks to do 5 pages. So if we hired him, we'd be screwed. And I know that's a lot of things that they do. They're testing you not only on your skill, but on your speed. That's this whole business is about. That's why you can, like, there might be artists out there where you're like, I'm better than that guy, but that guy's probably way faster than you. Anyway, so I pumped out those 5 pages in 5 days, sent it back to them. They said, this is great. Some stuff I needed to work on, and they said, well, you know, don't call us, we'll call you. And I thought at that time, like, oh no, I've heard that a million times with different companies. I thought that was it, but luckily I got a call 2 months later to do some filler in stuff on Star-Lord, and it's just been snowballing ever since, so I'm very lucky. AL says, I don't have experience with comic page deadlines. Comic page deadlines, well, you just try and set it up for yourself. If you decide to do 3 pages, or let's say 5 pages, like that's what Marvel will send you to do a sample with, just try and draw 5 pages of something in 5 days. Take a sample script from online or something, there's tons of scripts out there. and see if you got what it takes to play with the big boys. This guy looks fun to draw. Has school ever interrupted you from making comics? I was making a comic when I was at school, and yes, it definitely did, because I had a really, really good experience at university. I was in a band, and I was kind of living more of a rock and roll lifestyle, like a legend that I was at school. So comics took a bit of a backbone. It was only until after I graduated that I thought, actually, you know what, I would rather do comics more than anything. But you should be able to do both. Like, when I left school, I had that editing job, but then I got hired to do a comic. So I was waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, getting a train into London, which was about an hour, working till 5, getting a train back home, getting home at about 6 o'clock, eating, and then drawing comics till about 11 o'clock at night, and then repeat, and then spend the whole weekend drawing that comic. And the summer before, I was hired to draw a comic, and I was penciling, inking, colouring, lettering, doing all the graphic design, all the ads. Like, literally, the product you hold in your hand besides the dialogue is what I did for that whole book. And I got paid pennies for it because I was a novice and I kind of got into a deal that I didn't want to do. I sort of took advantage of. But, I don't know, I just feel like anybody that works in comics is really dedicated to working in comics, you know? Like, you hear a lot of people's stories where they're like if you hear Todd McFarlane's stories where he was, like, at university, and he had class, so he went to class, he had a job, so he did his job, he had baseball practice, so he did baseball, and then he would be up till, like, 4 o'clock in the morning, just drawing comic pages for 3 years, because he was hedging his bets on everything. It was like, if baseball doesn't work out, I'm going to do comics. If my job doesn't work out, I'm going to do comics. Like, he was making it so that he had a backup plan, and that's what I decided to do. Like, I'm 27 now, so I'm still kind of young, but when I started trying to break into comics, I was 23, and I was like, I'm going to dedicate my life to this while I'm young, because there's, you know, I can get it out of the way so I can set myself up for a good future. If that makes any sense. I've drawn so many people in suits recently. I love drawing fat people as well. They're really fun. I hate drawing pretty skinny people. Here's the magic pupil brush. Da, da, da. See, even that there saved me, like, I don't know, 10 seconds. But it all helps. Did my family ever interrupt me for making comics? Yeah, certain stuff interrupted it. I also met my now fiance during that time, and that definitely slowed my process down of staying in one room all day learning how to draw. But that was a good thing. She's definitely a huge part of my life, and I couldn't be doing what I'm doing now without her. Oh, that mouth is gross. What's going on here? Any advice for anybody, for somebody that ultimately wants to have a creator-owned comic series? That's my goal as well. I think the best advice is just to get to it, right? Like, I don't know if you've... Like, it took me ages, but I finally plotted out the whole series, my creator-owned series. And it's gonna be like 100 issues long. That's the plan. I'd like it to be 100 issues. But to finally get there, because I've had the story in my head for 3 years, and it's gone through loads of different changes. But to sit down and plot out the whole series, like this is going to happen in this arc, this happens in this arc, this character's introduced in this arc, and this is how it ends. Like knowing everything about it is great. Not all the little details, and then I've written the first issue, and the first arc's going to be 3 issues long. And it feels great, because then you have a game plan, and then if you're drawing it yourself, you just have to do it, right? You just have to sit down and draw it. Like I've only done, as you saw, nearly 2 panels and a bit of a cover. But it's a go, and I'm just working on it very slowly in the background. I plan to have the first issue definitely done by next year, and I would like it to release for Halloween 2018, or at least show a bit of it off. Because it's a spooky book. A spooky book. I'm not a fan of the hair that I've chosen for this person. Can I change this to what? Yeah, I'll stick with that here. When I draw afros or curly hair, I like to think of it like big bits of popcorn. Popcorn hair, baby. Anybody watching wrestling knows who Bobby Roode is. I have his theme song stuck in my head. I won't give in till I'm victorious. Sorry. Happy says it's morning, so I have to sleep now. Thanks for all the great advice, Mr. Robson. You're better than a guy in Scouts that have radical day. You too, man. Or woman, I don't know if you're male or female. Have a good one. It's the magic. Guys, got any more questions? Huh? 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 Word? Let's keep these guys separate from everyone else. Don't talk wrestling. Glorious! I won't give in till I'm victorious. Such a good song. Wrestling's great. It's good fun. Though I would say 70% of the time it's pretty bad. But when it's good, it's great. It's so funny, like, I'm a big basketball fan. I love basketball. I've been watching it for years. And then I was trying to find a place to watch it, because in the UK it's tough and I don't want to spend all that money. £60 a month to watch basketball, that's ridiculous. So I was finding alternative ways to watch it, and I stumbled upon WWE, and I was like, oh my god, I have not watched this since 2002. Because I watched it all from 99 to 2002, so pure Attitude Era, that was my jam. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to check it out. This was 2014, end of 2014. And I got back into it. And I got back into it because of comics, because it was something so easy just to stick on and watch while working. Because I know you all really care about that. I'm just going to take a little break, so I will be right back in about 5 to 10 minutes. I've been watching since '95. Since the Razor Ramon days. There we go. I'll be right back, guys. Come on, baboons. Want to go outside? Want to go outside? Let's go outside. Glorious. I won't give in. I won't give in. I am back! Johnny Rector! You still there or are you gone? Ladies and gentlemen, the world famous Johnny Rector. Big D John. That's what he's called in the business. He's got the biggest desk, biggest art desk. Big D John. His big floppy art desk. Alright, I'll stop. It's going good, I'm just doing some art. How's it going? Sorry, I'm sure some people have dropped off. Is that what your desk looks like? If any of you have not seen Jonathan Rector's YouTube channel, then you're all stupid and you should go see it because it's the best. He was a personal and still is art mentor and hero of mine. He taught me how to render. He taught me how to smile again. He turned me into a vegetarian. He's a menace. I'll do that in a bit. I'm going to fix that head, but I got to draw the details first. The Doom says, hey, so I'm trying to find a good online community to submit work to for critique. I know of some, but I'm looking for something with a focus on qualified feedback. I'm not too sure. I think there's stuff on Facebook that does that. I think I used to be a part of stuff like that. There's zwol.org, if that's still going. That's what I used to post on. zwol.org. I don't know, I always kind of made that community myself. I used to spam Johnny Rector here in the chat with my art when I was a nobody. Being like, I can't draw this leg. How do I draw this leg? Show me. Change that mouth. He's going to be more grumpy, this guy. Should be going, Yeah, I'm going to keep that. Going to keep that look. Maybe I'll draw a big stogie. No, I don't think Marvel will let me draw stogies. The magic pupil brush. I'm going to move his eyes up a bit. That pupil brush though. No, I'm not going to keep that mouth. It looks ridiculous. That's my dog snoring, if you can hear that. She's a French bulldog, so she is quite the snorter. Now, it looks like I gave up on the pencils for this body. And I really do not like the head I've just drawn. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to redo it. You guys are going to see some pencils. So these are Italian police officers, so I've looked at some of the stuff they wear, and they look pretty snazzy. Oh, you could hear my dog snorting. Keeping you all entertained. She's a snorer. And my fiance snores as well, and some nights I just lie there with a symphony of snores going on, questioning my life. Cough, cough. So again, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask, otherwise I'll just sit here in silence. Ayla is asking, do you still have time to read comics, and if so, what artists are you following? I actually haven't read some comics for about a month or two, because my deadlines have been crazy because I'm on so many projects, but I do read comics, and I've been reading, well, the series that I'm following is Southern Bastards. That's great. I've been reading Batman, the whole Riddler, the Riddler Joker stuff. That's been good. Been reading Kill or Be Killed, which is brilliant. Extremity, which is also brilliant. I read a lot of Image. I feel like when you work at Marvel, you kind of just want to... like, I don't really read much Marvel because I work on it so much that I need something different. And Image is where it's at for me right now when it comes to stories. And artists, I don't really follow artists on their books. I more follow their, just when they post pages and stuff like that. That's where I really like to follow them. This guy's gonna be grumpy. Oh, I'm so grumpy. Oh, I'm a grumpy man. Let's give him a big schnoz. Big chin. I'm just gonna basically draw him like the Punisher. Doomsday's asking, did you say earlier that you were working on something with Image? If so, what has that experience working with them like? I am working on something with Image. I'm not allowed to say what it is yet. It's been pretty cool because I'm working with one of the Image founders, my favorite Image founder, and working with them has been pretty surreal in itself. And it's been good. I had to do a lot of corrections though, because obviously everyone that discovered Image is an artist. So when you're an artist working for an artist, there seems to be a lot of backseat artistry, if that makes any sense. So I've had a lot of corrections I've needed to do. But Image is great. They pay great. Good to work with. It's going to be cool when that book's out. It's not my usual thing like I would do. I'm only doing it because it's just getting to work with a personal hero of mine, but I'm drawing in a more kid-friendly style, which is even crazier to say because my stuff already does look pretty kid-friendly. Do you know what? I'm going to keep penciling some more on this. There's some stuff I want to change. Actually, I think I can... Yeah, let's pencil some of these people back here that have not been finished. But it's cool. I like it. I like... my goal in life is to write and draw my own creator-owned comic at Image. And the other goal is to write and draw my own book at Marvel. I just want to be in full creative control. Because that, to me, really is like the bee's knees. If I can play in the sandbox with my favorite superheroes, you know, write and draw my own, I don't know, Captain America story, Ghost Rider, that would just be awesome. Like what McFarlane did when he started that Spider-Man series. I think that would be really satisfying. A lot of people do it. Declan Shelby, he does it. What's his name? Basically, a lot of people do it. So it is possible, and I'd like to make it possible for myself. Hang on, I'm just going to check my emails. I have that same goal with Image. Cool to see someone who is close to accomplishing it. Well, I haven't accomplished it yet. Like, even though I'm doing a book with Image, I'm still just a hired gun, you know, just an artist. I want to be the writer as well. Because I'm working on someone else's property. Like Johnny Rector, he's making his own book on the interwebs, and that's freaking awesome. I would love to be able to do that. I'm going to draw a big security guard here instead. Get a big fat neck. Yeah, I'm going to keep penciling. I'm having fun penciling. I rushed these pencils because I was drawing too many people. Thanks, John. Well, I had to figure out how to stream on YouTube. It was... it's silly that YouTube doesn't just have like a stream option that you have to use outside ways of doing it, but I'm doing it. I just hope I don't get in trouble from Marvel for posting stuff that is being seen early. But like I said, this is all non-spoiler stuff. So Doomsday says, so my plan is to complete a few issues to be able to put together a pitch. Is there a better way than that? It's up to you how much you want to do. I mean, with Image, if you read their guidelines, they require, I think, just 10 pages for a pitch. I only did the 3 issues. Like, I'm just doing mine fully because my goal isn't... If Image or any company doesn't pick it up, then that's fine, because I'm just going to make it myself. So you got to just know what your goals are. Let's make this one an alien. Or an inhuman. My go-to alien is white eyes, no eyebrows, no nose, and bumps on their heads. Guy's pretty cool looking. Again, there's no problem with going in and redrawing stuff, because if you can make it look cooler or more fun to draw for yourself, then it's worth it. See, I don't like this guy. This guy makes no sense. Like this dude in the front, he looks pretty mean. With my cops, basically their hats are completely based off of Greg Capullo's cop hats from Spawn. I just think they're great shapes, and I'm drawing, like, I don't usually pencil the heads this quick like this. I'm only doing it because they're in the background, so they don't require as much detail. This guy's going to have a stash. He's the Jessup King of all these cops. He's going to have a bit of a pinhead. Do you want me to do... You know what? Since John's in here, let's draw Jessup King in the background. Easter egg. Let me just get some reference up. Jessup King is now... He's now a member of the Italian police. So let's just Google some Jessup King. Oh, look at that big sexy man. He's a police officer if I've ever seen one. Actually, I'm going to make him a security guard in the background, because these security guards just let people in. Oh yeah, look at that butt chin. Look at those Nintendo eyebrows. What is this, Kirby? If you guys haven't read Jessup King, you can. I believe it's free online. It's a really fun comic. What are these tiny little pea ears he's got? I know someone asked about before if I do Easter eggs, and this is right here, Easter egg. Actually, his neck's way bigger than that, isn't it? It goes out to like here. There we go. Gotta get that big sexy neck. So after Jessup gave up traveling the stars, he became a bodyguard at an Inhumans company in Marvel Comics. He sold out. In fact, I'm even going to do this. No one's ever going to be able to see it because it's going to be so small. But just for you, Johnny, it will be there. Right there. I think his neck even needs to be thicker. Hale says, I like the two-line widths approach. Which artists do you look at, have studied for inspiration when it comes to the two-line widths approach? What do you mean by the two-line widths approach? I don't know what that is. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a white layer. And I'm just going to white around, well, black first I guess, all the new pencils I've drawn. Well, this is just the step one, right? Like, this isn't the finished look right here. Oh, I see what you mean by two width, as in there's a thick here, and this is that. I don't leave my art just like this. What I do is, as you can see here, I add the thin to thicks afterwards, as you can see here as well. So the thin to thick does get incorporated, but it starts out just with the singular. Why, do you think this looks better? Because if it does, it would make my job a lot easier. We've redrawn everything. Let's delete this guy. If you hear cracking, that's my knuckles, and I'm sorry. Jessup King looks a bit like Rick Rude. Is that his name, or is it Ricky Steamboat? No, not Ricky Steamboat. Is it Rick Rude? Old school wrestler. The big mustache. Oh, look at this grumpy face. Someone did not have their morning coffee with this one. Oh, jeez. Ravishing Rick Rude. Am I correct with that? Was there any inspiration for Jessup with Rick Rude? Instead of the sex machine, it's the war machine. Yeah, it all makes sense now. Busted. Busted. John says, no, it's more of a cartoon version of Mighty Mustache character. I did that, but when you draw him grumpy, it's hard not to think of Rick. What do you used to call people? Slime hogs? Oh, trash hogs, was it? All a bunch of trash hogs. This has been Drawing and Wrestling with Will Robson. Speaking of drawing and wrestling, and that big snort from my dog, I've been doing a bunch of WWE covers, which is fun. I know that my which one was it? Mankind. That one was released, which looked awesome. I really like the way that one turned out. But they know how much of a fan I am of the wrestlings, so I'm doing 2 more for them. 2 more Attitude Era characters. I will let you figure them out for yourselves. John says, yeah, grats, man, they look awesome. Question for you. Not that you need one. Sorry. Have you thought about getting an agent to find work? No. I'm very happy to do it myself. I think I'm my own best agent. I don't think an agent can really aid me, because I make all the connections myself, because I'm a legend. You know, I'm the best. I could be your agent. You like the dog snores? That's what I do on a nightly basis. She's keeping my feet warm, which is nice. I hope everyone knows that when I pretend to be cocky, I am just pretending. I really am just a man in shambles and always constantly thinking I'm the worst artist in the world. And that Marvel's going to fire me at any second. You're fired! Oh. Oh, this panel is going to take all freaking day. cannot wait. I love penciling a big panel. Because you're like, it's done. But then you have to freaking ink it. And usually I try and do it first thing in the morning, or I just leave it for last. But right now I'm like, this needs to end. I am sick of drawing these people. And I still need to add line weights to everything as well. I all have to go in a bit. Thank you. This was great fun to watch. No worries. Thank you for stopping in. I know it's a weird time in the day, night or morning. When did I last have artist block? Earlier this week. I get it quite regularly. And the only way to get rid of it is just to step away. What I usually like to do is I like to get all grumpy and in a huff. And I walk downstairs. And if my fiance's back from work, then I talk to her and she says, "Calm down, you idiot." Or I call her on the phone and then she says, "Calm down, you idiot." And then I get all mad, and I sit for a while, I watch some TV, and then as I'm watching TV, I'll go, I wonder what Capullo's posted on Twitter, or I wonder what Jim Lee's recently done on a stream. And I look at their work and I go, wow, just like that noise. Then Luna snores, right on cue, and then I get back to it. And then after that, once I've had that break, it makes it a lot easier. I'm sorry, my throat's dry because I keep talking. Jacob, how's it going? Hey Rob, glad to see you making videos again. I've been watching your progression for a few years now. Question, what's your average time for completing a page? Depends on the page, but right now, I'm on pretty much a page a day, or a page and 3/4 every 2 days, if that makes any sense. Covers take less time. Some pages I can get done in a couple of hours if they're really easy, like three panel pages with just talking heads. It all just depends on what the content is for that said page. And thank you for watching for a long time. Derek asks, how did you switch the black inked background characters to light blue instantly? Magic. No, it's this button up here. So in layer properties effect, see that? Doom, doom, changes the color, and then I change the opacity. One of the many usefulnesses of drawing digitally. I think it's thundering. Oh no, that's just my dog snoring. See you later, Doomsday. Yeah, it's cool. Derek, this is Clip Studio Paint EX. It's a very good program. Wow, that was a deep one. Did you guys hear that one? That was a snore. Click save. Do you think your style will still change, Jan asks? It definitely will. I don't think it will always look like this because I'll get better and certain things will change due to how much better I'm getting. I'm looking forward to it changing. I want to go more and more towards looking like Spawn's issues 50 to 100. That's the goal. I'm just going to take a break, but I'm going to answer questions. Alexandre, how's it going? Asked, does Marvel ask you to draw their characters in a certain way, like they criticise Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man? Or they just let you do your thing as long as you reach deadlines? You do have to follow certain stuff. Like, for instance, I'm filling in on this book, so I'm trying to keep the characters looking similar to the way the main artist is drawing it. When I did Great Lakes Avengers, I had the opportunity to redesign a bunch of characters and create them. So that was great. Like Flatman, I totally made my own. But there is some stuff I've done that I've had to change because they thought it looked a bit wacky, but I don't think it's as crazy as it was in the 90s, because in the 90s it was all about the style of Marvel, but these artists were coming out, you know, launching new styles, and everyone didn't have to draw like John Byrne anymore. And as McFarlane said, how it was ridiculous that they were asking him to change stuff when he was like the #1 selling book. Like, that's mad to me. Wouldn't you just let that guy get on with it? But no, it's different. I mean, I think they hire people now for their style. What gets me most pumped for drawing? Money. To pay my bills on time, that's what gets me going. There is truth to that, but that's obviously not the main thing. What gets me most pumped for drawing is at my desk, I have next to me my drafting table, which is now being used as a glorified book holder. And on it I have my favourite trade paperback of Spawn. And what I do is every day I just flip the page on it to a new page. And I look at it for ages. I study whatever those 2 pages are. And that gets me really jazzed up. Really just looking at anybody's art that I think's better than me. That really gets me going. Gets me jazzed. Let's see what else we got. Damn right, it's real talk. So Derek asks, will this video be available later for viewing, or is it only during the live stream and then disappears? I have no idea. I've never done one of these. I assume this is all going to be uploaded to YouTube. I hope so. Jacob asks, cool, thanks. I was hearing the big 2 you should be doing about a page a day. It's nice hearing your insights. Can't wait to see some Jed stuff when you find the time. Some Jed stuff. That project is on hold indefinitely for the moment. My main projects I'm doing for myself is Leave None Alive and my other comic. I would love to tackle Jed one day, but instead of a comic, I'd much rather turn it into a kid's cartoon, like, you know, morning cartoon TV show. So if I ever got the chance to pitch that to a studio, I definitely would, because that's where I think would be the best home for it, not a comic. Oh, I'm just stretching. Now I'm going to look at my Spawn next to me. This masterful artwork. This page is just a close-up of lips. It's amazing. If you want to show people argue, just show their lips. The main guy here looks like a young Han Solo, I guess so. What about this guy? He looks like a young Palpatine. Because he's so gwampy. Oh, I'm so gwampy. Alright, back to it. Come on, get back to work. It's so funny, like, I used to, excuse me, Luna, I used to, oh my god, not be able to draw heads in profile, and now, like, they're my favourite thing to draw in the world. Like, I would just draw a whole book with people's heads in profile. And if you look at my recent comic work, I think nearly every page there's a head in profile. Do I ever just think, wow, I'm working for Marvel and I'm drawing my favorite characters? I definitely do. There's times where I'll just be hanging about. It's not when I'm doing the work. It's more just random where I'm like, holy shit. Like, oh, excuse my language, but I'm like, I did it. I did it. And I do like a big, like one of those things where you put your fist in the air and you pull it down like to your hip. And I go, yeah. And then I do punches in the air. I pump myself up. And then I drink 10 beers and go to sleep. It's the best. Because I'm the best. Around. And nothing is ever going to keep me down. Oh yeah, look at this guy. This guy's not too happy that the police were let in. I bet he's probably got a bit of a record. Or maybe he's got a little something on him that he brought into work. And he's like, oh geez. Didn't think that the police were going to come today. Me and my pickle nose. They call him Pickle Nose Pete. Alexandra asks, since Jonathan Rector is watching the stream, Jed should make a cameo in Jessup King. It could even serve as a way to show the difference in size between Jessup and characters. I think that's a jolly good idea. Is he really? Is he going to make an appearance? Because that would just be amazing. I would love that. Derek says, love the cringe look expression on the woman's face. Thank you. Derek says, the art style sort of reminds you of Batman the Animated Series from back in the day. What, my art style? Because that is a huge compliment, because Bruce Timm is a big influence on my artwork. I didn't mention him before. He is one of the reasons why I started going a bit more simpler and no rendering. So I take that as a huge compliment, because that is one of my favourite things of all time, is that cartoon. I still watch it all the time. The Laughing Fish is my favourite episode. So you were just going to have Jed and you weren't going to tell me? Was that a test to see if I was actually reading the book or not? If you didn't notice, you would have just got rid of him. Or if I didn't notice. See you, Jen. Derek says, yes, it's beautiful. I'd love to see you drawing Batman the Animated Series comics. Like, they should totally make that into a comic series and pay you to illustrate it. Well, I know they did for ages have a Batman the Animated Series comic. And Bruce Timm has drawn some comics. He did Mad Love, which got turned into an animated series episode. But I think, and I know that in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures crossover with Batman, that's, if you want to see some animated series look, then take a look at that, because it looks great. That's a really cool looking book. But I think if they did do that, they'd probably hire someone to draw exactly like Bruce Timm. I don't think, like, if I got asked to do it, I would probably just have to draw exactly like Bruce Timm. And it's so weird, like, it's true that the more simpler the style, the harder it is to imitate. Like, that guy can, like, with 3 strokes, draw Batman for a commission, and it'll be, like, the prettiest thing you've ever seen. Very jelly of him. This guy is a beach bodybuilder. He used to be the drug dealer guy. Actually, no, he still is. He's still the drug dealer guy. But he's all grimace down here, but he's all party up here. Johnny Rexer said, you got the Marvel hookup and got the Marvel and Little Lap for free, Will. I've been poring over John Romita Jr. stuff. Effing style. I do not get that for free. If I was full-time at the company, I would be getting it for free. But as I am a freelancer, they keep it away from me. But what I usually do, if I start on a new book, I'll say to them, like, do you mind if I get every single one of these, like, comics for the series that I'm working on, so that I can read the whole thing and, you know, really get immersed in the story, and then that way I get free comics. And if they say no, then I draw the book terribly, and it's their fault, because I just wanted free stuff. So I'm going to use the lasso fill here to do some shark teeth. You think this looks like Bork Laser? I'm Bork Laser. I'm from Minnesota. How do you become full-time? I honestly don't know. They just randomly contact you if they really like your stuff, and it probably has to do with if you're working on books that sell very well, and then people start buying books because of you. But apparently it's very rare for someone to be hired full-time now at Marvel. DC, on the other hand, is just hiring people full-time left and right. They are just sucking people up. And to put it back into wrestling terms, it feels now like DC Comics is WCW when they first started, and they're taking all of the famous, like, over old wrestlers, or in this case artists. So they've got John Romita Jr., they've got Greg Capullo, they've got Jim Lee, they've got Grant Morrison, like, and in terms of writers as well, they've got loads of top people. So what WWE did in that day was they had to rely on their new talent to build it up. And that's what I feel like Marvel's doing now as well. They're relying on people like me to sell and push the books, and new writers. And I think that's great. And of course there's still famous legends at Marvel as well. But that's how it is to me. I put everything in a wrestling filter. It makes life easier. Like my tax man, he's Randy Savage. Oh yeah! You gotta pay your taxes! Oh yeah! Derek says, speaking of wrestling, I gotta go get to work on a WWF WrestleMania bezel art piece for MAME. Hope that video is available later. See ya. That sounds awesome. Good luck. You gotta be working or the tax man's gonna get ya. The tax man, Randy Savage. I got like an instant headache doing that voice. This is Mini Jessup with his mini mustache. He's secretly super excited. He's holding it in, he's not showing it, but he's really excited to be at this office today because he's a major Jessup King fan, and he knows that he works security there, and he's been growing this tash for like nearly a year, and he's super proud of it. So he's trying to be all cool, you know. He's there to stir stuff up. In fact, I'm even going to make him looking at Jessup because he's like, oh my god, there he is. There's Jessup King. I'm such a huge fan. Now, someone asked me before, how do you keep yourself like going to work? And this is what I do. I look at this art and I make stupid little stories out of it to keep me going. That's good advice for getting through a crowd scene. So he's looking over here, he's like, oh my god, there he is. Look at that big beefy man. Oh dear. I hope someone like came and saw, like started watching the video when I went, look at that big beefy man. And they're probably like, nope. Okay, I think that's enough characters for that. Let's hope this works. Absolutely soaking wet. I'm just clicking save and save. Clicking save and saving, clicking save and checking my emails because I'm waiting for an important email from the higher-ups. It's funny when you see this and you see like they almost look like amputees. It's a bit messed up. Anybody got any more questions? Eh? I just realized I missed something. Oh, there be hands. I think when I started this video I was all business. I was like, hello, welcome, I'm going to be drawing. And now I'm just cracking knuckles and cracking skulls and cracking hearts. So sometimes when I'm in a jam, I hire assistants to do the process I'm doing right now, which is adding the extra little lines to separate. Because this process can take a little while. Chat's gone dead. I'm all alone. I like that dude. I think he looks cool. He's like, right, I've got a job to do. Here's Jessup King's biggest fan. I need to add stuff to him. So if you don't understand the point of these lines, it's just to separate layers. Like separate this vest from his shirt. And separate his shirt from his body. You don't need to do it with everything. Like I'm not going to do it with these things here. Or every line there. It's just, I don't know. It's a step that's actually not a part of Freddie Williams' method. He kind of just says, like, oh, just, you know, add the outline and then do it in the final inks. But I always found adding this little extra step just works for me. Here's Mr. Gym Goer. Dead cat police department. You hear about a dead cat? Isn't there no dead cats? This is the guy that's definitely got some drugs in his pocket and he's a bit scared that the police are there. Keep it cool, Tony. They're not here for you. Oh, this panel is taking ages. Am I still doing 10 days of comics? I don't think I ever did 10 days of comics. I think I tried to do that 100 days of comics thing and gave up on the first video. Because I'm a horrible person and I don't commit. Alright, time to draw Jessup. Or ink Jessup. Johnny Rector's, I know what he's going to do now. He's going to turn around and sue Marvel for copyright infringement. So Judge Zorg is saying, I'm trying to make a comic myself. My art skills are decent. I got a bunch of characters and I use an iPad Pro, an Apple Pen, and Photoshop. Is that good to use? That's more than good to use. I think you're well okay with using those programs. What's it like drawing on the iPad? I'm tempted to get one. just to do sketches in the afternoon and stuff like that. Judge Zorg says it's good, but I'm like in an artist block. I can't get myself to draw, and when I do, I always mess up. Happens. You gotta just push through it. I remember I used to be exactly the same way. I'd get frustrated. I found for drawing for extremely long periods of time, like the first time I ever drew for 6 hours straight, and it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was getting annoyed because I just wanted to draw eyes the way Greg Capullo drew eyes in Batman, and I just couldn't figure it out. All my art looked terrible, but I just kept redoing it. Like the thing is, you gotta try and draw it in a different way, and without even thinking about it, I just drew the same picture I've been drawing for the past 6 hours, and I finally got the eyes right. And it clicked in my head like, oh, you need to start like with the top of the brow, make it thicker, and then this is round, and it goes like this, and then there's the pupil, and then there's the lid. And then the moment I did that, it just everything clicked. Like, the problem with art is I can teach you how to like draw an eyeball, but everyone learns it differently. If you did the same strokes as me, you might be like, oh, why does mine look crappy? It's just like through constant doing it that it works. Do you guys remember this logo? Who played Tony Hawk back in the day, huh? Activision's gonna sue me. And that guy's face need to be rotated a little, the main face. Which guy? Or him? He's good. You think it looks funny? I don't see what you're saying, so I'm just gonna leave it. Looks fine to me. I say that now, and then once I get the colors back for it, I'll be like, oh, that looks terrible. I know what that guy was talking about. So this is my zombie. No one's going to notice that I've drawn a zombie, because he's tiny on the page. And Jessup knows that there's a zombie there, and he's looking right at him. And he's like, oh man, this is about to get out of control. And he's like, oh man, look at that big muscly man. Oh dear. Keeping myself entertained. Have we finally drawn all the freaking people in this panel? No. One more. This jabroni here. This little alien. Alright, come on, jabron. Judge also says, you inspire me, and some other people inspire me to comics. I just got to get used to an iPad. I'm glad I inspire you. I hope my videos have helped. I'm sure iPads... I know some people that are using iPads, and they've drawn great stuff on it. I do, because I work on a Wacom Cintiq 12WX. That's what I use as my main stuff, because I just think that the Wacom products are the best for drawing comics. But I really want to get, which I think I might get this year, or next year I mean, is a Cintiq companion, so I can draw on the go. Because I found recently, I'm getting sick of just drawing in my office. I want to be able to move around. And there's nights when I'm just watching TV and I'm like, oh, I could get back to work, but I don't want to go up into my office and work. I want to chill on the sofa with my fiance and my dog. So I think I'm going to get myself one of those expensive portable tablets. Maybe dedicate those nights to drawing my creator-owned book. So what do I use to draw? I use a Clip Studio Paint EX. And I use a Wacom Cintiq 12WX. I like Clip Studio because I'm just used to making my own actions and brushes and stuff. It's all stuff you can do in Photoshop, but this program is made for making comics. And here's one of the best features of it. My favorite feature of this program. I'll make sure I turn off these pencils down here. Best feature is the perspective ruler. So as you can see in the pencils here, I've drawn in what I want to do. Like that was just freehand what I want to do with the perspective. Whoa, what's going on here? And now with the tool, boom, perspective done. No, it's not free. You can get, I think there is a free version. No, I don't think there is a free version. If you know how to get things for free, you can get it for free. That's how I originally used it. But I think that the non-EX version, the version that's like it's like the same exact thing, except you can't make stories out of it. I think that's not too expensive. It's like 50 quid or something like that. Sniper's asking, when is this comic supposed to be released? I think issue 8 is about... No, issue 7 was released today. My first art appears on issue 8, so that'll be November. And then issue 9 will be December, and this is issue 10, which will be January. So you won't see this page until January. So that goes to show you how well in advance Marvel needs to make stuff, because it needs to go into solutions, it needs to have a cover, it needs to be ready for comic shops to order the issues. So a lot of stuff needs to be done in advance. And if you miss deadlines, then you will be fined, which Marvel doesn't like, so that's why you gotta hit those deadlines. Marvel won't hire you if you end up costing them more money because you're constantly late. You dig? Sniper asks about how long does it usually take to draw a full comic. It depends on the person. For me, it takes comfortably a month and a half. But recently, I've had to do a comic every month because that's just the way the crumble cookies. Depends on different people. There's some people out there, like I don't know if Todd Knox still does, but that guy was at one point drawing 3 pages a day. So he could get a book done in 2 weeks. 2 weeks! That to me is insane. I think I need to add a door here. If you're just joining, that snoring you hear is my dog. Oh, hang on a sec, I got a knock at my door. In fact, I'm going to take a break, guys. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. I'm back from outer space. Is everyone still here? Is it still rolling? Sorry, there was a parcel at my door. And then I needed to use the little boy's room. And now my dog is running around in circles. Oh man, this panel needs to end. Sniper asks, when sending a comic to Marvel, do you just email the files to them? What I do is they email me the script, I send them back through emails, low quality JPEGs, or pencils, wait for that to be approved, and then low quality JPEGs of inks, and then once everything's been approved, I export them in the right file types and change the sizes for print ready, and then they have an FTP server, and I'm all linked to that, and I just drag and drop. Like a big Dropbox, basically. Oh, big stretch. Big time stretch. You stretching as well? Oh no, my dog wants to play. I can't play, I have to draw comics for Marvel. It's very important, that's how I afforded you. Dingus, huh? Oh, don't do that, I just poked her in the eye. Oh, she's so goofy, this dog. She's such a space. Wait, what happened here? Did I fill everything in white? Oh, there we go. I think this is a bit too big. Actually, I think it's fine. I think this is just too thick. If you guys got any more questions, just let me know. Otherwise we'll just sit in silence and listen to my dog lick her private parts. This is my go-to easy way of doing lights. Is what you make in being a comic artist a decent living? It's decent. I mean, it varies. When I was in independent comics, I was not making a good living at all. I was making way less than minimum wage, about half of what you make making minimum wage. But I stuck to it, and now I make just a standard living. But I don't work on any books that get royalties. If you get lots of sales, you get royalties from books. So you get percentages of doing that, and then there's commissions and covers and all types of stuff. And then as your career continues, you can ask to be paid more, and different companies pay different rates. Like Image pays more than Marvel, and I think Marvel pays more than DC. And the annoying thing is that with every job I do, I get paid in dollars. So when it gets translated to the mighty pound, I'm not making as much money as I would if I lived in America. If I lived in America, I'd be making a way better living. But since it gets translated into from dollars to pounds instead of pounds to dollar, it's not as great. But I certainly make enough where, you know, just like a normal job, like an office job. That's why creator-owned is appealing as well. If you have a successful creator-owned book, then you get all the profits. With Marvel, you get a percentage. Judge Laws asks, is there any other better programs for making comics? I personally think Clip Studio Paint is the best for it. The program is made for making comics. It's the only program you can get that specifically was made to create comics. Photoshop's great as well. I think a lot of people who use Photoshop started with Photoshop, so they continue to stick to it. Sniper said, have you ever thought of moving to America? I actually lived in America for 13 years, from 1997 to 2010. And I never want to live there again, especially with what's going on there now. Nice people, but crazy country. I'm much happier in England. I'd only move back to America if they offered me the job of president of Marvel Comics. So now I'm going in and I'm adding all the line weights. How much is what, Judge? Clip Studio? I don't know, you'd have to look it up. When I lived in the States, I lived in New Jersey and Vermont. All East Coast. Yeah, great time. Luna! What are you doing? What made me move? Well, we moved there originally because of my dad's job, got moved out to America. And then I moved back because I could no longer receive funding for university. So I moved back, when my parents moved back, and then I went to university over here and had an amazing time, one of the best times of my life. And I've stayed ever since. I love this country. I really love England. And now I'm going to be getting married. I've got a dog. I'm saving to buy a house. I'm a grown-up. Doing grown-up things. I pay taxes. Oh, let me tell you about taxes. Macho Man. Randy taxes. It's driving me mad. See you, Judge. It's my dog snorting. I went to buy a dog and they gave me a pig. What are you doing? I hear you digging. Yeah, you look guilty. What are you doing, huh? Behave. So I'm making his inks pretty thick because he's in the foreground and there's a lot of detail in the background. So I'm beefing him up big time. Actually, this arm is a bit small. Man, I'm hungry. So I usually wouldn't make a line that thick, but since this dude's all back there and stuff, that's what I'm doing. So if anybody doesn't know, I'm actually doing this thing with Boom Studios. 12 connecting covers. 12! For Big Trouble in Little China. That came out with a new comic. And I know issue 1's out. And they commissioned me to do 12 connecting covers that span the history of the main character, Jack. With colours by Jordan Boyd, who's my colorist on Spider-Man Deadpool, and on my Star Wars cover I did for the 40th anniversary of A New Hope. That was one of my personal favourite things I did, because I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and when I got the call to do one of those covers, I was super happy. So I put my all into that. I spent 16 hours inking that Millennium Falcon, drawing and inking it. And people are just like, oh, it's a 3D model. I'm like, it's not. I just spent that much time in it. If I recorded that for YouTube, I would have been saying all types of crazy stuff, going insane. But it's worth it. It looks awesome. When will what be released? The Big Trouble ones? I think the first one's out now, and then they'll come out every month. And just to let you guys know, I'll be streaming for another 40 minutes. So hopefully I should get this panel completely done in that time. This panel has taken a long time. Sniper asks, what is my dream comic to draw? My dream comic to draw? Well, one of my goals is to have a run of at least 50 issues on Amazing Spider-Man. And one that's a significant run, you know, something that ends up being a new part of the Spider-Man lore, just not just like a chuck-away comic. That would be great. I'd love to write and draw my own Captain America comic. He's my favourite Marvel hero. And I'd definitely love to draw. I think one of the biggest dreams would be able to write and draw a long run on Detective Comics. That would be awesome. But my art isn't ready for Batman. It's too kid-friendly. I need to learn how to shade to draw Batman. We just find a really good colorist. And then my you know, one of the biggest goals is to write and draw my own creator-owned comic and have it be successful enough where I could do it for a living. That would be awesome. If I came into work every day to work on my story and not somebody else's, that would just be job satisfaction through the roof. It wouldn't even feel like a job. If I was tasked with creating an original character, who would it be and why? What, for Marvel? I've worked on original characters before, but in the sense that the writer created a character, like Good Boy from Great Lakes Avengers. I co-created that character because I got to design the character. for any company. I think it would just be more for myself. It'd be cool to create a new Batman villain that becomes popular, like with the Court of Owls, but I don't know what I would create. I think if I could add to anything, it would be in the Batman universe. That would be awesome. And then to see it pop up in a TV show or a film. And then the person next to me, I just lean over and be like, I created that. I did that. That was me. I am definitely no ink master. See how sloppy this hair looks? I cannot wait for this day to be done so I can watch the first 2 games of the NBA season. Gonna watch some Cavs versus Celtics. And some Warriors versus Rockets. Oh, I think I'm going to sneeze. Bless me. So with these guys in the background, I don't really have to add too many inks because they're going to be so small on the page that you wouldn't even notice if there was that much extra detail or not. So I'm just adding a touch. I like adding extra line weights to the backgrounds with the straight line tool, because then it's not all just, it looks a bit more freehand, because you don't want everything to look perfect. Like you see here, like there's some sloppiness here, but I like to keep a bit of sloppiness in because it makes it feel just a bit more art. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. We did it! We did this panel! Now we've done it. Now we've done it. Yep, that's done. Walking away. Oh, jeez Louise! Oh, that's what I think about that. Oh man, my nose. Just one more to go, and I hate the panel that I've penciled up there. I might re-pencil it. In fact, I'll definitely re-pencil it. Looks like crap. Finally got that important email I was looking for. If you've got any questions, guys, just ask. I'm just taking a quick break to relax my hands. Karnak. Alright, let's look at this top panel. Actually, it's not terrible, it just needs a bit of tightening up. The two guys in the foreground are fine, but these guys barely have any detail on them. So let's spruce them up. No more questions, guys? It's gone very quiet. Alexandre asks, if you could ask Marvel for a book you wanted to draw, what would it be? A crossover between the Punisher, Blade, Ghost Rider. Yeah. And they fight vampires and ghosts and goblins and kick some major butt. That would be cool. because then everyone's fallen asleep. All by myself, I don't wanna be drawing all by myself. That's for you special fans that are still here. I saw we just got some new views, so I guess someone just came in the room while I was singing. Oh, nearly done. Nearly done. I can draw G.I. Joe right now. G.I. Joe. Go Joe. Joe Mama. So fat. Well, I guess since the chat's dead, no one's here anymore, I might as well end this stream. I don't know how long I've been going for. I think I've been going for like 4 hours or something like that. So thanks guys for joining me. I'll try and do this again. I've got some other stuff that I need to do. So yeah, thanks guys for stopping in. Hopefully this will upload to YouTube. If it doesn't, then you guys are the lucky ones. Alright, peace out, Cub Scouts.